There was a moment during a press briefing earlier in the week where Pete Hegseth literally claimed the Strait of Hormuz was open. He said it's open for business. He said oil tankers are free to sail right through. He said the only problem is Iran will fire missiles at those tankers. And some people began to laugh, but he was dead serious. He insisted the strait is open for business. Meanwhile, thousands of tankers are stranded, no ships are going through, and it's costing them a fortune to get insurance. Because even if those ships are just sitting outside the Strait of Hormuz, if they're not moving, they're sitting ducks. Iran is attacking energy infrastructure. So now these tankers are impossible to insure. Trump said, we won. Not we're winning. He said, we won. And then he said, I won't even call it a war. He said, for us, it's an excursion. He said, sometimes it's a war, but mostly it's an excursion. He said, for the Iranians, it's a war, but for America, it's an excursion. So 13 American soldiers have died so far on an excursion. Very respectful. Nice. Well, if it's just an excursion for America, but it's war for Iran, who do you think is going to be the tougher opponent? The country that says it's just an excursion, we can leave anytime we want, or the country that sees this war as an existential moment where their very survival is at stake? Who do you think is going to do whatever it takes to win? If you don't know the answer, ask a Vietnam or an Iraqi war vet. Karl von Clausewitz, the Prussian general, famously said war is merely the continuation of policy by other means. What he said is war is politics. He said war is the failure of politics. He said you can't separate politics from war. That's right, you cannot separate politics from war. Despite every U.S. president who gets us into a war, they always insist, I refuse to politicize this war, as though politics is dirtier than war. I will not sully this war by bringing the democratic process into this. War is politics, and the American people, politically speaking, don't like this war. Trump, according to Reuters, was not only warned that a bombing campaign would do nothing to topple the Iranian regime, his economic advisors, according to Reuters, told him that the Iranian government, this time, unlike in June when he bombed Iran first, his economic advisors, according to Reuters, told him this time we have no doubt Iran will close the Strait of Hormuz. They will make it impossible for oil to leave the Persian Gulf, and the cost of a gallon of gas will soar, resulting in a political catastrophe for Republicans in this year's midterms. We see that Trump ignored his economic advisors. He ignored everybody. He ignored his chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He ignored Great Britain, Germany, the UN, his economic advisors. He knew this time that the Strait of Hormuz would shut down and oil would pop to $100 a gallon. And maybe he was okay with that. Maybe because the more it costs to fill up your tank, the better it is for the people who put Trump into office. That would be the oil companies and Vladimir Putin. When oil can't pass through the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of the world's oil is taken off the market. That results in one barrel selling for $100. That means Putin can charge more, and Exxon can charge more. They can charge more for less work. Even Trump said this week, higher oil prices are good for the oil companies. I don't think he began this bombing campaign to jack up the price of oil, but I have no doubt he saw rising prices for energy as one of the added benefits for his two patrons, Exxon and Putin. Have you checked Exxon stock? It's up nearly 40% versus where it was a year ago.